Hello and welcome to ABA Made Easy. I'm Mauricio and today we'll be talking about chaining. So the technical definition for behavior chain is that every response in a chain produces a stimulus chain that doubles as reinforcement and SD for the next response. Whoa, what does that mean? Okay, basically, the behavior analyst just like adding fancy words to make things more complicated. No, I'm just kidding, kind of. Basically, it means that when you're doing a task, let's say tying your shoe, right? You do the first knot. Once you do the first knot, the stimulus changed, the environment changed, right? What's different? Now you have a knot there. You can see a little knot. So what does that knot do? First of all, it serves as reinforcement. So you know you completed a task, you're happy, and you're more likely to do it that way in the future because it worked. It also serves as an SD, meaning a stimulus, to tell you to go on to the next step. So you see the knot and you're like, all right, now it's time to do the loop. So then you do the loop. That's all they're pretty much saying. So Reynolds is one of the first people to study this, and he did it with a pigeon. So this pigeon, he pretty much pecked on a button, and when he pecked on the button, it changed the color. Once the color changed, the bird knew that it was time to go to the next step. So he goes to the next step, he has to push a lever. The color changed again, and then he had to do the next step. So it's a lot more obvious in this example, where the stimulus is changing, as in the color of the button is changing, or a light is flashing. But in real life, it's a little more subtle, just like the tying of the shoe. So what do you use chaining for? You use it for teaching complex tasks with a lot of steps. This could be something like tying your shoe, it could be making your bed, it could be brushing your teeth, washing your hands, making the bed, something that has a lot of steps to it, okay? Not just like one behavior, something that has a lot of steps. So this complex task, the first thing you want to do is a task analysis. So a task analysis is basically taking that whole task, analyzing it, and cutting it into little more manageable chunks. So instead of saying to someone, tie your shoes, learn it, you say, okay, we're going to learn how to tie our shoes. Step 1, first knot. Step 2, loop. Step 3, go around the loop. Step 4, pull, right? You do it into more manageable chunks. That's a task analysis. Once you have finished a task analysis with this complex task you want to teach, then you got to choose from 3 different ways of chaining. There's forward chaining, backwards chaining, and total task chaining. So what are these? So forward chaining, pretty much what you got to do is you teach the first step, and then you do the rest for the learner. So for example, hand washing. The first step in hand washing is turning on the faucet. So you teach them how to turn on the faucet. Right when they turn on the faucet, reinforce. Yeah, good job. And then you got to keep doing the rest of the steps for them. So you put hand over hand, you make them get the soap, you put their hands under the water, you close the faucet with them, and you make them dry their hands with hand over hand. The only thing they did on their own was the first step, being turning on the faucet. That's forward chaining. You teach the first step first, and once they got that, then you teach the second step, okay? Now the important thing with this is you only reinforce with every new step taught. So let's say the first step is turning on the faucet. The second step is getting soap. Once they know how to turn on the faucet and get the soap, you only reinforce after getting the soap. You don't reinforce turning on the faucet anymore. You have to reinforce both of those together, okay? And then you do the rest for them. And you keep doing that until it's done. The next one we're going to talk about is backwards chaining. So backwards chaining is kind of the opposite of forwards chaining. You teach the last behavior first. Why would you want to do this? Well, actually, it makes teaching easier over time, and a lot of behavior analysts prefer this. So let's say the last step of washing your hands is drying them off with a towel. So you do the whole hand washing with hand over hand. You like guide their hands the whole time, and at the end, you make them dry it off with a towel. See what's happening? You reinforce the end. So once you reinforce the end, you go on to the previous step, which is turning off the faucet, then drying their hands. What happens is, once they turn off the faucet, that's the stimulus that they know to go and dry their hands. And they're already like perfect at that. So they're gonna succeed at the end. And so it gets easier as you go. So right when you get to the beginning, right when you get to the part where they have to turn on the faucet, they already know all the rest of the steps, and that's gonna be easy breezy. And they're gonna get through it really fast, and they get the reinforcement at the end. The important thing with this is that you only reinforce at the end. So the last one is total task chaining. What is total task chaining? Basically, it's that you teach the whole task at once, okay? And you only help out with prompts along the way. So with the hand washing, let's say they're pretty good at getting the soap, and they're really good at drying the hands, right? You do this total task training, and they're gonna go through it. Let's say they can't turn on the faucet, you would prompt them for that. They could get the soap on their own, so you let them do that. And you just give prompts as needed, all the way till the end. Okay, so you're teaching the whole thing. It's good if they have a similar repertoire, similar behavior in their repertoire. So for example, let's say you're teaching someone to make eggs over easy, and they know how to make eggs sunny side up. All you're changing is one little step where they have to flip the egg over, right? So in this case, total task training makes sense because they have pretty much all the steps except one in the middle, so it makes sense just to go for it. The bad part about it is that you only reinforce after the whole task is completed. So it's hard to train things in the middle if you have to reinforce all the way at the end. And it takes a little longer unless they have a very similar behavior in the repertoire. So I kind of alluded to it already, but which one would you choose? Would you choose forward chaining, backwards chaining, or total task chaining? Well, it depends. First thing you want to do when you do your task analysis and you look at your steps is, where's my learner in this? Do they have most of them down and they just need like one or two more? Then maybe total task would work for that. If they're really good at the beginning step or the end step, then you want to choose either forwards or backwards chaining. So if they're really good at drying their hands in a towel, no problem, then start with backwards chaining. They already know that part. You're already like succeeding already. You already got the first step done. But if they know the first behavior, they know how to open the faucet, but they don't know the rest, start with that one. Okay? It's really up to you. Awesome. Now just a quick recap. First thing you want to do is a task analysis. You want to break up this task into small, manageable steps. Once you got those steps down, then you're going to ask yourself, does this learner know the whole thing except for one or two little things? Do they know the first task or the last task better? If they know the whole thing pretty much, then you go with total task chaining. If they know the first step, you do forwards chaining. If they know the last step, you do backwards chaining. I hope this clears up a little bit of chaining. I know it's a little confusing when you're reading it online and stuff. That's why I made this video, to make it a little easier. It's really not that complicated once you think about it rationally. Thanks so much for watching. Like this video if you can. It boosts me up on the YouTube page algorithms, and it makes my videos show up and helps other people who might have trouble understanding this stuff. Just try to make it easy for the world. I think everyone should know this. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and I'll catch you in the next one.